What is going on YouTube? It's your boy NevinTheBarber, and in today's YouTube tutorial we're going to be going over a drop fade with a simple design. So to get right into today's tutorial, I'm going to begin by saturating my client's hair, and we are going to carve in our first bald line with my gamma hitters. And whenever you guys are doing a low fade or a drop fade, it's very important that you guys start the guideline very low on the temple area and you drop it underneath that occipital bone on your client in the back. And you do want to make sure to get that first guideline beneath this bone so that when you blend it out, it doesn't go above that occipital bone on the back of your client. And you guys can see that I went ahead and turned the clippers around, that way I can cut down with the grain just to create more of a sharper first guideline. That way we can really establish where our zero is going to be at. And for the next step in this fade today, I'm going to go ahead and use my clippers all the way open. So this is now cutting the hair down to a 0.5 length. And when I'm bringing up this guideline, I'm going to take it up about an inch. You guys don't want to make it too short or too wide, just enough room to blend out that guideline with the 5 notches that you guys have on the lever. And we're not going to blend out that guideline yet. We're actually going to follow that guideline with the 1.5 guard all the way open. And this is now cutting the hair down to a short number 2 guard length. So same thing with this guideline, we're going to take it up about another inch. You guys can see I'm doing some clipper over comb with the guard on right now, just so we can blend that 1.5 guideline into the temple and bulk of my client's hair. Blend out that middle guideline between the 0.5 and the 1.5. I'm going to use my half guard all the way open, and we're going to just start flicking out that guideline, just doing some lever play, shortening our cutting stroke every time we flick out that line. And just be patient with it. Some hair texture might take a little bit longer to fade out than others, but as long as you guys are being consistent with your steps and consistent with your cutting stroke, you guys should get a nice, clean, consistent blend. And I do have the clipper all the way closed now, just flicking out that last faint line that we see. And now that we have that step complete, we can close the lever all the way with no guard, and we can begin flicking out our first initial skin line. And I do highly recommend that you guys zero gap your clippers. That way it'll make this part of the step right here much more easier. You guys can see that I was able to flick out that line effortlessly. And my client did want a little simple design, so I went ahead and gave him just a little slash design, as you guys can see. And I did put it right on top of the fade just so it gives it a little bit more contrast. And with designs like this, you guys just want to be very precise as to how you're using your trimmer. You guys can see that I just put the trimmer parallel to my client's scalp, just tapping with the corner, getting a nice precise cut as to where I need my design to be. And I'm going to go ahead and go over that design with the straight edge razor just to make it pop 5 times more. It's always important that you guys go over your design work with the razor blade. And as I'm doing this, you guys can see that I am bringing tension in the opposite direction in which I'm bringing the blade. It's very important that you guys always stretch the skin whenever using the razor, just to get the most precise cut without causing any nicks or cuts on your client. And now that we have that design done, I'll begin my client's edge up in the front. And as always, I do like to begin my edge ups in the front of my client's forehead, going from the front to the right side or the front to the left side, rather than going from the corners to the front. And as always, you guys want to keep the hairline as natural as possible, again, while still achieving a nice crispy line. And if you guys haven't zero gapped your edges already, I would highly recommend zero gapping your edgers, because it will make this part of the cut 10 times easier. And now that we have that left side of the fade and the design complete, We're gonna begin on the right side of the fade. Again, doing the same exact steps. We're gonna first carve in that bald line with the gamma hitters. And now that we have that guideline established, I'm gonna go ahead and use my clippers with no guard, lever all the way open, creating our 0.5 guideline. And we're gonna follow that guideline with the 1.5 guard all the way open, which is now cutting the hair at a short number 2 guard length. And you guys know the deal. We're gonna go straight into clipper over comb, just so we can blend that 1.5 guideline straight into the bulk without using any guards. And I do like to keep the guard on when doing this step, just to be safe, because it is very easy to create a gash in your client's scalp when doing clipper over comb. So you guys always be sure to roll out that comb off the parietal ridge and the occipital bone whenever you guys are doing clipper over comb. Again, like I said, that way you don't create any gashes. And to get in the next step in this fade, I'm gonna use the half guard all the way open. And we're just gonna attack that middle guideline right in between the 0.5 and the 1.5. And you guys wanna be very precise with this step right here, just because this is really gonna make your fade stand out and give it that blurry effect. So always be patient with that half guard. Again, like I said, sometimes it might take a little bit longer to knock out that guideline depending on your client's hair texture and the density of their hair. But as long as you guys are creating even guidelines and going through your steps correctly, you will be able to achieve a nice clean fade. So just be patient with it. Again, be consistent with the cutting stroke and the way that you guys are placing your guidelines throughout the scalp, and just try to get them as symmetrical as you guys can get them on both sides, because clean symmetrical guidelines will equal a clean symmetrical fade. So just be sure to keep that in mind whenever you guys are fading and cutting hair. And now to finish off this fade, all we have to do is knock out that bottom skin line. So I went ahead and closed the lever all the way. And you guys can see with that with those first few strokes that I did, the guideline basically already disappeared. We just have to go back and do some lever play, detailing out any last dark areas that we see in the bottom of our fade. And it is very important that you guys always go back and take at least 5 to 10 minutes to put some detail work into your fade. There's always a few little dark spots that you guys might have to erase at the end of the cut that you didn't see, mid-cut or during the process of the fade. So at the end of the cut, always be sure to just go back and double check your work before you let your client leave your chair. Right here, I'm just putting in some detail work with the 1.5 guard. I do like to use the 1.5 guard to detail the top of my fade, just because the fade happens from the 1.5 down to the 0. So if you guys do see any last dark spots in your fade, that 1.5 guard should knock them out for you guys. And now that we have our nice blurry fade achieved, we just have to go back and punch in our edge up. So same thing as we did on the left side, we're gonna start on the middle of my client's forehead, going from the middle to the left side of his temple area. Again, just keeping it right at that natural hairline. You guys don't gotta go in. Be nice and easy with it whenever you guys are cleaning up that hairline. And as always, I will lean my client back and use my razor up against the grain. Whenever you guys do this, always be sure to apply constant tension in the opposite direction of the razor. That way you guys won't nick your client. Now that we have the razor edge up complete, I'm just gonna go ahead and create some texture on the top of my client's crown area. He didn't really want a lot of length off of the top. He just wanted to texturize it and create a little bit more volume so he can do a little bit more styling with it and whatnot. But you guys can see that I went ahead and applied some volumizing powder. This is my own line of hairstyling products right here. So if you guys are interested in purchasing them, I will be sure to leave the link in the description. Any support is much appreciated, so thank you for anyone who purchases my products. but you guys can see that top. And just to finish off the fade, we just have to go back and remove all the bulk now. This is personally my favorite part of the haircut, just because you can watch the whole blend come together as you guys are taking off the hair. And after you guys cut the hair down with the trimmers, of course you want to go back with your foil shaver or your electric shaver just to get it all the way down to the skin. This right here is basically just preserving the haircut and getting it much more shorter rather than the 00. But that is about it for today's haircut tutorial. If you guys learned anything, please be sure to smash that like button, drop a comment if you guys want to see anything else from me, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. But it's been your boy Nevin the Barber. I appreciate you guys tuning in.